How's it going, sports gamers? Welcome to episode 11 of the SGO Press Pass. Mike Straw, Magic Editor, Sports Gamers Online here, as always, joined by the composing one, Jake Jacobson.
Mike, as usual, it is great to be here on our very first episode 11 of the SGO Press Pass. I've decided today I'm going to do one swear, but I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to do it. It's just going to happen. So I want you to be prepared for that. If you think you're quick enough to bleep it, then more power to you. But that's my challenge. This is my challenge to you on today's episode is one swear. Is it episode 11? Did I get it right?
Yes, it's episode 11. We had some issues on the Anchor stream. So episode 10 still hasn't gone live on our Anchor. So it's going to be up tomorrow morning along with episode 11 at the same time. So it's going to be a weird drop. It bugged out and everything, so I had to do a lot of editing to salvage it.
An Anchor exclusive, which is a timed exclusive. It was a world premiere for YouTube.
I know.
With 1 week of delayed release. I forget how they word those. I don't remember how like PlayStation words all those like.
I don't know.
We get the game exclusively for 1 whole year thing. But.
Timed exclusive. That's basically what I would always call it. But this is, as always, the SGO Press Pass, the flagship show. And I say that because we got more shows coming down the pipeline of Sports Gamers Online, your number one source for the sports gamer. We are brought to you by SGO Insider, our premium subscription service. For as little as $1 a month, you get exclusive news, insight. You can talk to the members of the staff. You get the chance to play games before anybody else. You get breaking, unannounced information that can't go public yet. All you have to do is go to sportsgamersonline.com/insider to learn more. We are powered by our friends at StreamYard, the free live streaming service. Go to StreamYard.com and learn how you can start your own live stream. Today, we have... I always say we have a big show. This week isn't the biggest show, but we do have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Hey, steal yourself, chat, because this one's gonna be. Look, we're not gonna lie to you. This one, not the biggest show.
This one is about to go off the rails after the Madden 22 talk, because the Madden 22 community gameplay test session beta. It's a beta. Just call it a beta. Stop giving it these weird names.
Yeah,
like
what's their official title? Yeah,
I think Community Playtest,
I guess.
But after we talk about that, we're gonna do a lot of Q&A today. We can never get to the Q&A all of the questions. This week we're gonna try to get to as many questions as possible. So share this video, tell your friends. We're gonna be dropping the knowledge, even if it's stuff we've already covered. Some people just don't have the time to go back. But we got a lot. But before we do that, Jake, as always, what are you playing?
Well, I got a lot of feedback last week about there not being a weekly KO City check-in. So I'm back today for this week's KO City check-in. KO City's doing their Knockout City. It's an EA game, which I literally never remember because it doesn't feel like. It feels too polished. Wait,
it feels too polished to be an EA game?
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like I always forget. But yeah, it's an EA game. It's a competitive dodgeball game. They just started their summer event. So there's a bunch of cool one of the new there's a bunch of cool summer-based outfits and animations. There's every match somebody gets picked as the MVP and they get to have their own animation for that. And so the summer MVP one is the lazy river. So you fall down in a raft and then you just keep floating forward in it. It's very good. The way that they implemented it sucks. And I don't like it. Basically they hid all of these popsicle sticks on each of the maps, which you then have to go through and find it. Once you find one, it pops off the map. Each map has 16 to 18 popsicle sticks. You have to find them hidden around. The only way you can find it is in the middle of matches. So like half the time we would get lucky and load in with other people who hadn't found them yet. But then like also half of the time, but the other half of the time I would just be running around while my friends get their butts kicked. Bet you thought that was going to be the swear. When my friends get their butts kicked, playing the actual video game while I'm doing the like scavenger hunt. So it's just like a really weird way. The good thing is like you find them all in one round and you don't have to search for them anymore. But like it's just such a weird implementation. But I've been playing KO City. I've also been playing more, playing a little bit of the Pokemon trading card game, which is I would call sport adjacent.
I still gotta give you some more.
Yeah, sure, I'll take them.
Some more of these. My brother gave me another like
a lot of those
1,000 digital cards. So this is your bonus. This is your yearly bonus.
Okay.
Pokemon.
Is that negotiable?
Yeah. You can get one or two. What do you want now?
Oh, I see. All right. Yeah, a new set just dropped in the Pokemon trading card game. So I've been messing around on the online client. Mike, what have you been playing this week?
Well, you know the first game I've been playing. It's been.
I'm gonna assume it's a retro
every day. Retro Mania every day. Can't wait for the DLC because I need.
This is our government mandated Retro Mania check-in.
Yeah. You think they paid me for how much I talk about them on this show, but it's a fun game and I love it. But other than that, other than like my daily relax, run through 10 pounds of gold, it's been the Madden 22 beta. And then I've been diving into Hot Wheels Unleashed because on Sports Gamers Online on Friday, I have my preview article up on the game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The embargo lifts tomorrow, but I won't have it up tomorrow because we have other things going up. So Friday, be on the lookout for that. But those have been my two biggest things because my time is crunched. And this hopefully is going to be the last episode of me in this office. Because
that's
my new office and I'm putting the floor down. I'm starting the flooring after the show. And yeah, I'm gonna be excited. Or I'm excited. I'm going to be. No, I am excited. I'm excited to continue that. But that's what I've been playing. We got Christian Phelps saying he's been playing MLB The Show 21. Justin Stevens found F1 2020 at Goodwill for $3. So I'm trying it out before 2021 comes
which
out.
Is a steal, by the way.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
you're gonna love it. I'll be a shill for F1. I'm not a paid one.
That's not even really. So I mean,
it's not shilling because it's been my best game of the year for the last 3 years.
Sports Gamers Online's best game of the year, 2020.
Like, the only game that came close to it for me last year was Super Mega Baseball 3 as game of the year. So it's just where I'm at. Spencer's been playing Madden 08. So
we're going backwards in Maddens. I mean, it was Madden 12 the other week, right?
Yeah, now it's Madden 08. And I'm not gonna complain. I kind of want to play some NCAA football like 07, so I can do the race for the Heisman more, or Road to Glory, whatever it is, and then take that player into Madden's career mode, and just do it for the channel. Maybe on SGO 360 or SGO Gridiron or something like that.
Can that all be done? And I don't Look, if you're listening to this and you're a cop, I don't condone this, but can that all be done via emulation at this point? Like even the 100%. File transfer stuff? That's
100%.
I think that's really cool.
My big thing with emulation is I make sure I own the discs.
Yeah, sure.
Because
you've made a digital backup.
Bingo. And we do not condone it. We will not tell you how to do it. So that's one thing to note. So Madden 22.
Yeah,
we have the playtest that came out. We have
a ton of news. Do you want to start with the playtest, or do you want to just start with like what we know about Madden 22?
Let's go right into the playtest because what people know. And if you missed it, check it out on youtube.com/sportsgamersonline. I did like 40 minutes talking about what came out and people shit on me for it the entire time. Wow. There's my one swear.
There's your one swear, yeah.
People, this is definitely going to be the most conversational podcast we've had, where it's just, we're just going. And I want your opinion in the chat. Make sure you let us know if you like this or you think, nah, get back to the old format, which I don't know what the old format is. I
was going to say, I don't feel like we're deviating from old podcasts at all.
No, it's just, we're more off the rails this one.
We're both in the zone right now. A lot of energy. There's just a lot of energy in these two rectangles. You know what I mean? They got to go somewhere.
Wait until I get things next week. I'm going to put sparkles up here.
I'm going to miss those.
I got those. You're going to miss what?
I was going to say, I'm going to miss those. Are those pieces of cardboard on your wall?
No, it's peeled wall. I bought wall-safe cable hiders for my television that I had mounted here for a while.
Wall safe.
I go to peel them off and take them off, and it ripped. I wish I could show you everything from what's underneath. Safe. It's not wall safe.
Expected.
So I have to plaster that, and luckily we're putting like peel and stick decor up because this room's going to be a nursery for the new baby because we want the baby out of our bedroom. So Madden 22. I've been playing the playtest since it dropped. And real quick, there were a lot of people when we reported that, hey, the sign up that came out was a registration for the beta. People were like, no, that's not what it's going to be. It's exactly what it was. So when we tell you something here at Sports Gamers Online, little toot of the old horn, when myself, Jake, the Natural, Chris, Kevin, Daniel, Sam, anyone on staff tells you something, believe it. We're not going to steer you wrong. We're not going to pull your leg. We're not going to BS you on anything. But the beta came out, got the code, got in. They give you a lot. I've been playing on PlayStation 5. They give you so much. Like the ratings and the rosters aren't fully updated. You got some free agency moves and things like that, but the ratings are more based on last year, which fine, I don't care. Those won't be coming. I am after playing it, I am very optimistic for what they're doing.
Yeah, so I'm pleasantly surprised. I remember we talked about this beta test 2 weeks ago, probably, right? Not last week, I don't think, but 2 weeks ago. No, maybe it was last week.
It was last week because we're like, of course, we go back to Wednesdays and stuff comes Thursdays.
Yeah, and I thought for sure I thought for sure the demo wouldn't be anything more than sort of a proof of concept on how much better the game will move around. And I'm very pleasantly surprised that actually they did include. I mean, they had included a ton of franchise stuff, right?
They included the entire franchise mode is in the playtest.
Yeah, which is super surprising.
Oh, and here's some awesome stuff about franchise. So last year we got 2 lines of pre-release info on franchise. Everybody lost their mind. #FixMan franchise rightfully took off to the point EA had to respond multiple times. There are times, now the internet is usually the small minority of what's going on. Right. There are times when the internet and the movement gets big enough to where it justifies it. Fix Madden franchise was exactly that. Now, I'm not saying that EA wasn't planning for what's coming this year the whole time. They weren't planning as much to come now. They took a lot of towards from other areas of the game and brought it in, including some other things they're working on with presentation stuff that's going to come in future installments. So they did pull back on that to focus on some franchise stuff and make sure we're getting franchise stuff throughout the year. 3 major franchise updates, including the scouting in September, which I get it. They had scouting like this in NCAA 14, but you know what? At this point, that's so long ago, I don't care anymore. Just give it back to me, and that's what they're doing with the regional scouts and stuff like that.
Right, and that's kind of the weird thing with the Madden games too. And I feel like I will get to WWE 2K perhaps in a little bit, but it's a similar thing with the WWE 2K series. Is like they've taken so much away from these games that, like, on one hand, it is kind of a cop-out to be like, we're re-adding this feature, but on the other hand, also, like, just, like, yeah, that is a step forward. When you take so many steps backwards, you're still stepping forward when you put that stuff back in, right?
100%.
And I will say to your point earlier about the Fixed Madden franchise stuff, I will say that, like, that like, yes, generally outrage on the internet is usually a vocal minority. I will say that not only Fixed Madden franchise, but also the NFL Drop EA were both like top 5 trending hashtags on the website, which is immense. Like that's huge, you know, like that's more than just a couple people. That's so much bigger than just like a subreddit that really doesn't like this part of the game, right? So,
or those channels that take one screenshot and give you 5 reasons based on that screenshot why Madden is the game made for Satanists, and if you're religious and you believe in God, you should never play this game. You know those people.
Well, and like I'm not trying to say that like. Okay, so here's the thing, is like, and I think it's worth saying, right, that like EA has plenty of time to mess this up.
It is EA.
It is EA.
Like you have to. It's sad because you have to say that, and I'm not going to sit here and say I got a lot. And I'm sorry to interrupt. I have a lot of people after my Thursday stream where I just talked about the Madden reveal because I wanted to go live and talk about my thoughts, calling me an EA shill. I'm like, if you followed anything from my 5 years at SGO.
I think you can find like
you can find not one of them.
I think you could find 10 videos of The Natural talking about the Madden franchise like on this channel if you search if you check in the search bar. But like also the thing is like the develop like
no one pays us.
Nobody wants to make a bad game either, right? Like obviously there's a disconnect between the people who are making the most money at EA and the people who are developing these games. But like the people who are working on Madden, and especially the people who are working on, you know, all of these hopefully perceived improvements to franchise mode, they're not people who are like trying to tank Madden, right? They're people who are being like probably paid not enough, probably working way too many hours, probably you know, really care about Madden. And I'm not trying to excuse like the decisions at top level EA who like absolutely, you know, like they have not even talked about what they're adding to Ultimate Team yet, right? So like you know, I'm not trying to say that like there aren't like obviously there are people at the top level of EA who don't have the best interests of game series at heart. It's clear if you look at any game that EA has been part of in the past like 10 years. But like, you know, I think it's okay to have optimism based on what they're telling us about franchise mode. I think it's absolutely objectively an improvement over what franchise mode ended up as at the end of 21. And I think like, you know, the best case scenario is that this is a game mode that's improving every year. And like, does that excuse the fact that game mode has deteriorated for, you know, the past 4 or 5 iterations of Madden? No, it doesn't. But I think it's important to recognize that like, hey, one, like, look, all of this fuss about Fixed Madden franchise, it worked. Like they saw that, right? And they took that to heart. Like they were like, this is something a lot more people than we thought cared about, clearly. Yeah. And so like, let's do a shift here and let's make sure that we are focusing on the thing that we think turns out a lot of people care about.
And to that point, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they were necessarily surprised because they did admit on that Making Madden podcast at Kickstarter this year that franchise is their most played mode, bar none. There were a couple things in that podcast that we'll get to that after I give the rest of my impressions, kind of looking forward to the future of the mode, that kind of caught me. It piqued my interest quite a bit. One of the cool things about franchise mode, before it like completely slips my mind.
Yeah.
This scenario engine, now it will get repetitive after a while. It's starting with just, I think, 35 different scenarios or moments throughout the season. The coolest thing was when a player comes to you in the middle of the year and says, I'm going to retire. Trade me. I'm going to retire. Or I'm going to retire. And it's like, no, call his bluff. And he retires.
And you're glad that they,
what?
I'm glad that's cool. Like that's a cool addition, I think, to that stuff. So.
My biggest thing is I want an SGO contributor, the Four Verticals, has the same mindset, and we talked about it. I want off the field to matter in franchise way as much as on the field as far as the skill gap. I want my decisions off the field, if I make the right decisions, drafting and free agency and strategy, to really matter just as much as my play on the field. On the field, Madden still has, it feels, if you played the next-gen versions of the game last year on Xbox Series X and PS5, it feels a lot of the same. The updated animations, there are some new ones. There's some new at-the-line motions. The offensive line is bad. The offensive line can't block to save their lives. Or you have the guy backing up like this. His head's following where he needs to look, but then all of a sudden he goes this way. He knows who he needs to block, but then he stops and he blocks this way. And I hope everybody likes my acting and my charades here because I need to put this visual. So there's still things like that. Statistic tracking and statistic predictions isn't the greatest, but that has never seemed to be EA's forte, and we'll see if they tweak the system and the tuning before release. But the biggest thing is on gameplay. Linebacker, I didn't have too many animated or locked animations on interceptions. I had a lot, more often than I thought, a lot of tip drills leading to interceptions. Usually it's like a tip drill and the ball just goes this way, goes this way. It always seemed the ball found the defender. So that's something I'm kind of concerned about, I guess, is that I hope that's not like ball magnet. You know, like people are worried about. Yeah. That's one thing I'm kind of hoping isn't the case, because it seemed too many tip drills. For everybody talking about NBA Live, we will get to it. That's the next topic. We do have a small update that we put on sportsgamersonline.com yesterday.
Excuse me.
But the gameplay overall feels fine. Running the ball still feels difficult, which I like. But again, offensive line is annoyingly bad, and that needs to still be fixed before launch. I guarantee you 90% of the gameplay critiques will be involved with the offensive line.
I was gonna say I'm assuming some kind of form came with this that was like, tell us.
Yeah, a QR code that you had to scan and you had to go to a link.
QR codes.
Where you could give your feedback. So
yes,
that's gameplay wise. Like if you played last gen, it's fine. It looks beautiful, as EA games usually do. They are visually stunning. We are we're at a point where things are kind of weird with it. It's hard to get too much further visually. We will as far as like details in the face and details on the mouthpieces and equipment and stuff, and maybe details in the stands. One thing I got a lot of flack for is my view on sidelines. I talked about I'm a big presentation junkie. When I say I'm a big presentation junkie, that means the score bugs, the broadcast, the replay systems. I don't care about the sidelines. To me, I'm talking about like the broadcast presentation aspect when I say presentation. Sidelines, it is nice still seeing when I run out of bounds, if I run towards a coach, he'll catch me and stop me. That's still nice. It's not where a lot of people want the sidelines, but that's good enough for me. We do have a super chat here from King in the North. I was kind of going to get to this later, but it kind of flows in with Madden. Again, if you want your comment or question read on the air, no matter what it is, as long as it's not vulgar or offensive, leave us a super chat. Every little bit helps. It goes to paying the man to this side of me each month.
That's me.
So you want to, I mean, look at him. How do you think you afford that matching combo?
I'm all red today.
Shirt.
But don't worry about all that.
Yeah. How do you think he afforded it? By your super chats.
Yeah, your super chats help me buy only red clothing.
So. Exactly. For SGO specifically. That's in the contract. F1 2021 Ego Game Engine, Codemasters, NBA 2K21 NG, Impact Engine, Madden Frostbite. How does the Madden improve with that engine? They don't. It's not a sports gaming engine, man.
Frostbite?
Yeah. And we've talked about that ad nauseum. There's the video on youtube.com/sportsgamersonline about what it was made for. I will say the Ego engine, I'm interested in if EA tries to bring that in and take parts of it. I don't think they will. But because EA does now own Codemasters, that engine is in tow. So I'm interested to see what becomes of it. I do think the Impact engine's also getting to the point of the Frostbite engine, though the Impact engine obviously was made specifically with 2K in mind, but we are getting to that point with the Impact, but we'll talk about that on another show. But Frostbite, it's tough to see where they go. Visually, the game will look better. The lighting will look better. The stadiums will look better. The atmosphere will look better. Gameplay, it can't really go much further unless they expand what the engine is. But that requires a kind of a rewrite of the engine where we're at this point. So I hope that answered your question, King of the North. Cat B says, what about the O-line? Go into details. So I can give a little bit more on the O-line. Like I said, their heads follow. They know what they're looking at. It's just what they're looking at doesn't always match what they ultimately do. So they'll be looking at the defensive end and trying to block the blind side of your quarterback. And then next thing you know, you're like, all right, my blind side's good. And then your guy gets hit. And then you look straight up or you watch the replay and you realize, okay, he's looking. Why is he then blocking no one? And I wish I could show you guys. I really do. Like, there's work there. And I feel like they would know. They know this is an issue because that's a dramatic, like, what the heck moment. So that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. Why can't PlayStation play online in the Madden beta? You can, or you're supposed to be able to, but for some reason, I think that's coming in week 2 of the beta, to be honest. I think that's one of those things. There are things that aren't open for the first week, and then in the second week of the playtest, there will be there. Curtis Russell, why not just use Unreal instead of Frostbite? Because then they'd have to pay royalties to Epic. EA's not going to pay royalties for a third-party engine. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah,
EA's too big for that.
Yeah, a big reason the Frostbite engine has kind of become the engine that every EA game is made in is because it's way cheaper. It's way cheaper. Like they don't have to pay licensing or royalties. They don't have to bring in Unreal Engine and then tweak Unreal Engine. I mean, you can find stories where that historically hasn't worked, which is to like force developers to learn how to try to make games in Frostbite engine. I want to say that was a big BioWare thing with Andromeda is part of the reason that Mass Effect game kind of didn't come out the way it should have,
because it wasn't supposed to use the engine and they were
forced the devs onto Frostbite engine. So there is an issue there where like it becomes a little frustrating, it sounds like, but you know, EA has an in-house engine that's Frostbite engine. They would prefer the cheapest route, which is to have everybody learn that engine. So
before we move on to a couple things that piqued my interest on the Madden podcast, a couple more questions. Will Madden be crossplay? Doesn't seem that way. When will Madden come out? August 20th, August 17th, if you pre-order, and sooner if you're a member of EA Play. Couple things on the Madden before we move on to NBA Live and get to the Q&A section of the show. On the Madden podcast, the Making Madden podcast, one of the things that was mentioned was, now, yes, franchise mode was the most important, but the most common way for players to start and play franchise mode is as a single player. However, the most longevity is as a coach. That tells me one big thing. People want to play as a player, but they get in, they realize it's boring as hell, and they quit it, and they start it over as a coach or something. Because as a player, there's nothing to do. There's no career mode. There's nothing to do. But people want it if that's the way they start most often. Right? Can you take it any other way?
I mean, probably not. I mean, like in theory, as a coach, you could extend that mode infinitely, right? Where like as a player, you can't be, a 90-year-old quarterback. But also, like, I think you're probably right. I think what that means is that like people get in, they do their 4 seasons as a player, their 6 seasons as a player, probably not even that many. They're 2 to 3 seasons as a player, and then they're like, okay, I've had that experience. I'm going to switch to coach because there's so much more depth. So I think you're right.
A couple more things from the podcast. Relocation. People always talk about creative team and branding, and it seems like it's still going to be the same where you have your limited cities, your limited jerseys. It is on the radar according to the team, but it's not a core fix that they want, but it's something they do want to tackle on their development roadmap. So hopefully by 23, 24, but I would like it sooner. There is another thing that was interesting to me is that the scouting update that's coming in September, where you'll have regional scouts and your board will go up and down throughout the season. The scouts' views of players will change throughout the year. That was either going to be a title update this year, or they were just going to move it and wait till 23. And they decided, no, we're going to make it the first big title update in September.
Could you imagine?
To me, that makes me so happy because, again, a lot of these people working on Madden, they're former football players who know the game. They're football fans. And they're some of the smartest people. People who develop and write code are some of the smartest people in the world. And you're not going to tell me otherwise, period. The fact that they were able to make it a title update for 22 says that, again, they took the concerns as much as they could, and they're doing it. It's not going to make everybody happy. It's not going to... The Madden haters are still going to be the Madden haters. The Madden apologists are going to apologize and be happy with everything. But I'm going to say there, I give credit where credit's due. There's a lot with gameplay that's still the same. And face of the franchise, I won't care about because I don't need stories. Yeah, you can play defense, blah, blah, blah. Ultimate Team is Ultimate Team. I don't care. Franchise is where I'm at. And I'm giving them credit for franchise mode specifically because it seems like I'm going to get, and we're going to get, a deeper offering, which is all we've been asking for. We've been wanting the team to show us that we matter and franchise fans matter. And this year we're finally starting to get it. So yay.
Yeah.
Curtis Leon Douglas, last couple questions on Madden before we move. Curtis Leon Douglas, can a scout become a head coach? I don't believe so. Haven't gotten to there. The coaching staff consists of the head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and the player personnel department. So owner mode is exactly what you'd expect. It has all the new features. And there was King of the North said, take a look at the NHL 21 franchise mode. Same engine, same company. It is not the same engine. NHL 21 is still on the Ignite engine. This year, based on everything that's out there, everything that's leaked, everything rumored, everything reported, NHL 22 will be Frostbite. Not sure what version of Frostbite. Will it be Frostbite 3 or Frostbite 4? We're not 100%. Will it be Ignite engine for last gen, which would make sense. They do the whole NHL legacy thing like they did 360 and PS3 years. And then NHL 22 is on the Frostbite. We don't know yet. We should have information. Usually we have information by now, but obviously with everything, we should have information by EA Play or around EA Play. Likely around the Stanley Cup Finals and things like that. So that's something I'm really looking forward to.
I suspect a lot of these questions will have a definitive answer at EA Play because I don't know why else they do June. I mean, like, I don't know what they choose not to show. It's more interesting to think about what they choose not to talk about at EA Play, at a July EA Play, but you know.
All right. NBA 22. Before we get to that, reminder that we are brought to you by SGO Insider, your premium SGO's premium subscription service. Learn more at sportsgamersonline.com/insider. You can also join the SGO community yourself on our Discord at sportsgamersonline.com/Discord. Open to everybody. We do have insider-only channels that are fun, that allow you to get your questions in for our interviews with developers. We do have a couple interviews coming up that SGO insiders can ask questions for, including an interview with the Madden developers and an interview with members of the Esports Boxing Club development team, which we are super stoked about. So if you're an SGO insider, you can ask and get your questions answered when we have those interviews. So that's something to think about. NBA Live 22, before we get to that, do the graphics look better at Madden 22 versus 21? Slightly. They do look better. The players look more realistic.
There's only so much you can do.
Exactly.
We're in the console generation where like that's going to inch forward and it's not going to jump forward anymore, right? So
yes. Now, if you are asking questions that don't have to do with Now NBA Live, we will get to them during our Q&A portion of the show, which is coming up after this. We will be talking WWE 2K AEW Games, and any questions you have that we need to get to. This is going to be a fun second half of the show. But NBA Live, we had a update we posted. People keep asking every week, where's NBA Live? Where's NBA Live? Where's NBA Live? Update for you. There isn't an NBA Live.
Every week you come to us, hands open, and you say, please, NBA Live
NBA
updates. And every week we have a new NBA Live update. And every week it's a new way to say, there's not.
There's more ways to say no. If you want your fix, play NBA Live 19 or play NBA Live mobile. But I know you guys want more than that. Okay. So back in October of 2019, EA went public with their decision to cancel NBA Live 20. They cited various development concerns, and they decided to shelve the series until the PS5 and Xbox Series X hit the market. But now those consoles have been out since October or November. Where is NBA Live? Well, in that statement, they said two things. They were set on creating something fresh for the next generation of players and platforms, and that they will check back regularly with updates. Jake, trivia time. How many updates have we gotten since October of 2019?
Mike, I believe the answer is none.
Yeah, you are right. The answer is none. You can't even bet a big old zero on Price is Right. The answer is none. And the reason the answer is none is because there's nothing going on. So we have learned at SGO that from some of those close to the series and within the company, that the NBA Live team has been moved on to other projects entirely. Most of the developers and producers have been put into the Madden development, and that's a big reason why we've gotten a lot of franchise mode improvements, and we've gotten a lot more. Even Connor Dugan, who was the former creative director of NBA Live, is now on the Madden team as the senior design director for Madden 22. So that should tell you a lot right there. Okay. There's still, now I don't want to say it's never going to happen. There's still a small skeleton crew of team members working on a future simulation basketball game, or putting ideas together, putting things in motion, I guess, or keeping the oven warm, or the coffee warm, I guess. But that's really a long-term possibility at this point. As far as anything soon, don't expect to see anything from that series within the next, 2, 3, 4 years. I'd be surprised maybe 25 is when we see something. 24.
Sure.
Maybe.
I can't think about.
We're told that the focus is on the growth of current titles like Madden, like FIFA, like NHL with some big updates. The UFC franchise, which was re-upped, as we had first reported was going to happen, which was re-upped with EA. And on top of that, the studio is bringing back PGA Tour and college football in 2022 and 2023. So those games are now being added to the library, which moves NBA Live even further down the totem pole or down the line. So it's understandable why EA wouldn't put the focus here into a basketball franchise that has fallen so far behind 2K that even the NBA is like, we're just going to work with 2K for the 2K League because they do it so well.
Yeah, I mean,
so if you want that update, there's your update. However, before you go in, there is a slight ray of sunshine if you want an EA NBA game. There is that possibility that it comes back in the form of an arcade type game. And I don't want to hear it. EA is only making arcade games. I don't. Stop it. But EA has been looking. We've talked about it. We reported it first at the revival of EA Sports. Waiting for it.
Oh, is this my me?
This is
Hold on. Could you lead me in again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. We have talked about the possibility of EA reviving the classic EA Sports
big
division within the company, and there's always that chance NBA Street, which has been talked about internally, being brought back. Okay, but right now, again, if you need your fix, it's mobile or 19, and that's the deepest update. Everybody's been asking for an update, and I just keep saying no. That is the deepest update I can give you. I hope it's enough because that's all we have.
Yeah. And like, it's pretty hard to design a game without designers. And it makes sense too, because you figure from a business standpoint, it makes more sense for EA to do this, right? To have those people working on the college football game that everybody wants. That who knows what that game is going to be like now, especially like.
Man, that's something we should have talked about, but we'll get to that another episode because I'm hearing there's going to be some possibility of some major things rolling in over the next week or two. So I kind of want to wait and see if that comes to fruition.
I think
before we talk about it for a whole show.
Yeah, I think we should wait to talk about it until we see in what way the NCAA
response
sits on their own dick, which is my one swear I said it.
Man,
but
I love it.
Like you mentioned, there's EA PGA coming, there's EA college football coming eventually, and you were already losing the NBA war, even though obviously, and I talk about this all the time on the show, like it's better to have more. It's better to have multiple games competing because rising tide lifts all boats. It's a better market if there are two or more, simulation basketball games all being made at the same time, because then it maybe keeps something like a 2K honest. Although I will say, I think 2K21 had a big jump to next gen. That really impressed me, at least. But if you're already getting your butt kicked in the NBA market, but then you get this opportunity to either start competing with 2K in golf or just bring back a college football franchise that's going to sell off the shelf, even if they make a bad one. I imagine EA takes that. So
hopefully, guys, that's the update you guys want. If anybody asks you about what's going on with NBA Live, any of your friends, just point to them to this episode of the SGO Press Pass. Don't worry. We'll put the timestamps in the description after the video's up. We'll work on that so you can send them specifically to where I go in on that. Now, the moment everybody's been waiting for, the Q&A.
All right, we got a lot of time for this too.
We got a lot of time.
I'm eyeballing the clock. We got a lot of time on.
We're gonna try and go through as much as we can.
Yeah.
But before we get to the Q&A, one last reminder that we are brought to you by SGO Insider. If you want to guarantee, however, that your show is read or question or comment is read on the air, leave us a super chat. Any amount helps us grow the SGO network. We got some new shows coming up. We are working on a much better version, an SGO approved, an SGON, the Sports Gamers Online Network version. Excuse me. I'm so excited I'm getting the hiccups. Of an around the horn type of show where we bring in content creators, sports gaming journalists, hosted by yours truly, and I get to give them points. And nothing comes of it. We're doing Whose Line mixed with Around the Horn. Everything's made up and the points don't matter, but it's fun. And it's all about sports gaming. We're going to have a blast. But again, if you want to guarantee your question gets read before we end the show this week, be sure to leave us a super chat. That helps us. If you want to go back and listen to it, you can always watch these on demand or subscribe to us at sportsgamersonline.com/podcast. You can find us on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. Cat V, thank you for the super chat, but you did not leave a question. So if you put your question in, I will get to it.
Cat V.
But you did ask some questions, so I'm going to get to you. So we're just going to go down the line.
Yeah, I don't know how far you can go, how far you have up. I screenshot a couple of interesting ones from the beginning. You see them,
actually, why don't you go through and then I'll match them and I'll throw them on the screen. Why don't we do that?
Okay, let me see. I think actually they are all still. The only one...
if you have any golf questions, I will say we are looking to talk some golf. Specifically, if you have questions about the future of the greatest golfing game ever made, Sid Meier's Sim Golf.
There it is. Mark it on the board. Write it down. We got 2 that don't show up on the thing.
That's 4 straight weeks. 4 straight weeks I've gotten it in.
The third one I have is Justin Stevens. If you want to scroll up and grab, can you talk about what studio EA bought?
Can we talk about the studio? Yes.
Yeah. So I've been Justin Stevens. I would love to talk about the studio EA bought today. I don't know a lot about it, which isn't an excuse because, so like I've been doing kind of a cursory bit of Googling research while Mike was talking about the Madden 22 beta. So Playdemic was founded in 2010. And it's a Facebook. They started by developing Facebook games, which was a thing. I don't know if you remember this, but Facebook used to have like a whole Facebook games department. And it got picked up by by a Warner Brothers interactive entertainment company called TT Games. And then I guess got sold to EA. It got purchased by EA. Very recently, the game that they create, which is referenced in the press release, it's prominently featured in the press release. It's called Golf Clash, which is a mobile game that has 1 million likes on Facebook and nearly 1.8 million ratings on the Apple App Store.
What it comes down to.
So it's a wildly popular mobile game.
EA's looking to make some money on that ad revenue. That's what this comes down to. Nothing major, nothing like, oh, this is going to lead to something. They might do a PGA licensed Golf Clash tie-in, but you're not going to get anything major. It's just so they can make some more money at the end of the day. They'll make way more than the 1.4 billion they bought it for.
But yeah, I don't know. So and EA's been doing this a lot. EA's been picking up a lot of mobile developers who make like pretty popular, weird sports mobile games. And this is just another one that they've picked up. So like, who knows? Are they trying to bolster the teams of their own mobile sports games? Are they just trying to distribute and take a cut of these wildly popular sports mobile games? I don't know. It's a weird thing, but this is like the third mobile app, I want to say, the third mobile developer that EA's picked up in the past like 8 or 10 months.
They're going to own the world. So we'll get to the super chats. First, Ray Magnoni. You know, I want you to tell me whether or not you've been great the last few weeks with these super chats, and I appreciate everything, but please tell me if I'm pronouncing your name right. I hope it's Ray Magnoni and not, or Ray Magnon, like filet mignon. Please just tell me if I'm butchering it. It'll pep you.
Yeah, Magnone. Ray Magnone.
Okay, great. Cat V. Oh, you didn't.
Thank you, Ray.
Cat V, you didn't have it. Thank you for another super chat. I appreciate it. Is there a boxing game to compete with the SBC? So, if you guys know, I appreciate you guys. Stay safe and keep up the great work. Cat V, you keep up the great work, my buddy. Boxing, EA is keeping a very close eye on ESBC. That I do know, because they were talking about bringing Fight Night back for a long time. The biggest thing has been licensing, right? A lot of boxes were like, no, I want this, I want this, I want this. They wanted a lot. Whatever ESBC has done to get some of these names, like the best boxer in the world, Canelo Alvarez, to sign a board for their cut, because every boxer is licensed separately. EA is, they're watching this, right? They want to see how this game does sales-wise, and that will be the kicker, whether they really look to bring it back. Because these are, man, EA, if this game goes off the rails in a good way and just skyrockets on the sales charts, the beta comes out later this year and it's great, and it comes out on the consoles and it's just flying and everybody's loving it, and boxing has this resurgence with a great game. EA will be kicking themselves in the ass.
Right.
Okay. They're keeping a close eye on this. So there's a chance. But ESBC, people have been saying on social media, oh, ESBC is selling to EA. No, they're not. ESBC is going to stay independent as long as they possibly can. And right now it seems like they're going to stay. They're getting enough of a push. The hype is there, especially in the UK, where boxing is much bigger in Europe than it is in North America right now, unfortunately. They are getting so much publicity and so much hype that game will sell well there, and it will make them bank there alone, and they get more money because the pound is worth more than the US dollar.
Yeah, I do think I often forget that Steel City Interactive is a UK developer. I always forget that that's a European studio. So,
Chell 22. I'm literally looking up. I'm sorry if you find something, just let me know.
No, I'm
looking up and I'm just like, boom, question. I want to get to as many as possible. I'm like trying to do like a speed round here.
Yeah, there are some people. Just a little housekeeping. There's some people who are repeating their questions. We will get around to it. We're just trying to work our way down chronologically. So we will get to some of those questions. I promise. You don't have to keep sending them to us. I have a big chat log up, so we will see that stuff.
Yeah. And we are looking. As of note, we are looking for moderators for our live streams each week. If you're interested, let us know. We'll give a tester and see how it goes. And if things work, you can be it. We're also looking for moderators for our Discord. So if you're interested, join us, sportsgamersonline.com/Discord, and message myself or Jake. You can find us on there, and we will we'll chatty chit and see what's going on. Child 22. We have a lot of people asking about 1222. In a few weeks. The biggest thing is it looks like it's going to be an engine jump. But it's not going to be an engine jump like it was for NHL 14 to 15, where we lost 95% of the features and it was a skeleton team working on the game. It's based on everything, it should be a fully featured game coming over to the PS5 and Xbox Series X. So thumbs up there. That's really all I have right now in NHL. What you got for me? We do have a super chat while EA needs to bring back Pump Up the Crowd in Madden. Bring me back Create a Fan. That's the one little thing, Memo. That's the one little thing I want. Fan? In the mid-2000s, Create a Fan. I'd make the fattest, ugliest guy in the world, but he'd always have his shirt off. So like a real, real.
I'm scrolling up. We can hit, we can go ahead and knock out. And I don't want to encourage this behavior, but Dominic Ferguson asked, "Will Tiger Woods ever be in a golf game again?" Yeah, he's going to be in 2K.
Yes, he's an executive producer on the 2K franchise now. As part of his deal, he will be leading to a lot of input on it. There's no way he signs. I think when we had our EA versus 2K golf episode, we both had this mindset of there's no way he signs on to a game and he's not in as a playable character.
Yeah,
I would be shocked if he's not a playable character.
I on the other end of that, if you're 2K, I don't know why you sign Tiger Woods and not put him in the game and not make him a focal point,
especially for how much money I bet they paid.
Oh yeah. Well, I got one that's not on screen here.
Let's hear it, because I got a couple too. So.
Luke Oltz asked, and I'm going to he wrote this on all caps, so I'm gonna read it the best I can. Do you think Madden should be Thursday Night Football on Fox like real life? And if you're still here, Luke Oltz, I would love for you to clarify what that means. Do you mean
I know exactly? Should it have that presentation? I think they should have all the network partners as presentation, but that is a lot of resources that they will not put into a game for just something like that. They will not. Yeah,
I do think it would be cool to have a different casting, awesome. a different.
You could have two, I think, because NBA 2K does it, and they were doing it in NCAA Basketball 10.
Yeah, but they would do Sunday and Monday night, right? They probably wouldn't do Thursday. I don't think.
100%,
maybe
100%. I think so. Brandon Bonner. Will there be another lacrosse game like Casey Powell Lacrosse 18? I hope so. As a big lacrosse fan, lacrosse is one of my favorite sports. I love them. I've been really close with the studio, with Cross Studios. Carlos and Sari, I've had a good working relationship with him over the last 12 years since NLL 2009. I do think it's time for me to reach out and see what's going on. The thing is, with Casey Powell Lacrosse 18, it came out of nowhere. No one knew it was coming, and then boom, by the way, we got a lacrosse game coming out next week, and it's like, oh, cool. And they're that type of studio. So we'll see. I think I'm going to reach out.
Well, now NatCon acquired that the developer of that specifically at the beginning of the year, right?
Cross Studios? I'm not 100%.
Let me check.
While you do that, I'll get to another question. Thoughts on AEW Games, the wrestling code going against WWE 2K22. AEW Games is going to be a completely different game. It's going to play a lot of simulation, but it's going to be a nostalgia type of game. Based on the look at people in the reveal trailer were kind of scared about how it was going to look. Based on the gameplay we got at Darby Allin last week, it's going to be a lot more realistic because Ukes is a great studio, period. So I think people are going to be happy. There should be more information around All Out on the game. So keep an eye out for that. The wrestling code, I will say this. I can't say much. I know we all know who's been who's on the roster, and we're going to be having a wiki page go up on the site in the coming days to update. I know every single member of that roster that hasn't been announced yet. I'm not going to say it, but I know every single one. Including, I do.
Oh.
I know every single one. And I know the biggest unannounced superstar coming to that game will have people buy it just for that. That's all I'm saying.
Huh.
But a GM mode,
the AEW game.
No.
Wrestling code.
Wrestling code.
All right. I'm back in. I know what you're talking about.
The game's going to have a GM mode. The game's going to have a story. They are taking their time with this. Now, the studio behind it, Virtual Basement, they made a great game called The Mean Greens. I highly suggest you check it out wherever you can on PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. I've been playing that game for 5 years now on Steam. It is Army Men Sarge's Heroes if it was a multiplayer shooter. It is so much fun taking these little army men and walking on like a bathtub. And you know it's a bathtub and a bathroom, and you're just shooting these little fake bullets and everything. It's such a fun game. Please go check it out. I beg of you. It is an amazing game. You will have a blast with it. Sport Hunter Iggy says, do you think EA Big will bring back Def Jam Vendetta or Def Jam Fight New York? Do you think it will be remastered? They don't have the rights to the Aki engine anymore. Actually, AEW Games is working with the developer of the Aki engine. So it's I don't think that ever comes back. I don't think there's the market for that. The early and mid 2000s were a weird place for games, man. The most fun place for games because you got so much. You had BMX Triple X and Backyard Wrestling and Matt Hoffman Pro BMX and Matt Sarah and you had Kelly Slater's surfing. You had all these games. Man, like I forgot about BMX XX. What a dumb game. so it was a very weird time. Okay. I don't think we're ever going to get back to those weird times. Can you give us a hint on the wrestling code biggest star? Unfortunately, I can't yet. I do not want to burn any bridges. I'm literally I just know who it is. And I know it's going to be worth it. And when you see it, if you want to be updated, follow us on Twitter at SportsGamersOn. Follow me at Mike Straw Media. And follow Virtual Basement on Twitter because they tease. And you could probably decipher it based on their teases because they're very subtle, but they're very good. Okay. But we are working on a story, and I'm working on actually going to check out a capture session for the wrestling code to talk to some of the wrestlers doing live capture or motion capture and get a behind the scenes for you guys. So we'll see if that happens. I'm going to have to travel for it, but it's worth it for you guys. Do you think, before I let you pick out the questions, we have probably time for like 2 or 3 more. Do you think Universe Mode will be good this year? Yes. Again, I can't say too much. But I do think they took a lot into consideration. The new team is really passionate about wrestling games, and they want to bring it back. You guys will be happy. You may not be happy about the platforms. You may not be happy about some of the gameplay decisions. But feature decisions, you guys are going to be stoked for what they are working on, whether it be for 22 or beyond. They have a roadmap kind of like EA does, and I've seen the roadmap, and it's a good one. All right. Jake, what else you got for me? We got time for a few more.
Just real quick, Mr. Michael Jackson. We did talk about NBA Live 22 news earlier, but the update on NBA Live 22 is that there continues to not be an update on NBA Live 22.
Fact.
I have Christian Phelps asks, what did the NCAA news mean for real players being in the game? We touched on this a little bit. We touched on this very briefly as something that we will probably have more to say about it next week. I think that the ruling is really big for student athletes. I don't think this ruling affects whether or not NCAA gets to have licenses. They're already not working with the NCAA specifically to avoid being part of this issue in the first place. But from what I understand, the NCAA is going to be coming out with new rules about likenesses soon, like probably this weekend or certainly before next Wednesday's show. So we're going to go ahead and just save that conversation for next week, because what the NCAA decides to do from here is just as important as the actual ruling on whether or not athletes will be in the game as athletes, whether or not they will get paid for that. Like, I think we'll have a better idea of all of that stuff once the NCAA makes a formal announcement.
And Christian, this is for you. You brought up NCAA. You're the one who likes to keep track of my rant, so we're going to end this. Here we go.
Hold on. I've got one more question before we break. Can I do this?
All right. Before I get to my NCAA thing.
All right. Before I do this,
I got to talk to the ignorant people out there.
Christian Phelps asked this too. It's off the thing, so we can't show it on screen. But Christian Phelps asked Atlanta or Milwaukee tonight. I just wanted to say live on the internet. Hawks in 5. I've not looked at the score. I hear it's not great for the Hawks, but I still believe Hawks in 5. It's in my heart. So I just wanted to get that live on the internet. So just in case, you know what I mean?
Okay, NCAA. We're over an hour, but I need to get this off my chest.
Yeah. You go ahead.
To the silly nannies, or dum-dums, or whatever you want to call yourselves, the smarter than now that think this is a bad thing, this ruling from the SCOTUS on the idea of playing college players, and you still don't believe they should be compensated for their work on the field. How would you like it if I hired you, paid you nothing at all, made $1 billion, and then decided I'm going to keep all of it? That's basically what's happened all these years, and now NCAA is going to get screwed over for it. And if you still think, and I see that sign, Jake, get the sign off the screen. If you still think that these players don't deserve the money, and they're only going to go to schools based on the money, they're only going to pick the small mid card or mid-major schools aren't going to get these players now because these bigger schools are going to offer their money. They're not going to offer every player money. And it's not like these players are going to sign contracts. These players are just going to get monthly stipends at the end of the day. But the big thing is they'll be able to sell their likeness to an EA, to a Nike, to an Adidas, to K-Swiss. I don't care. I don't care who. The fact that they deserve to get paid. They should be able to get a cheeseburger from a family member and it not be an NCAA violation. End of story. The fact that you could legitimately, for a while as an NCAA player, go out to dinner with your mom and dad, right? Division I, you're on a scholarship. Go out to dinner with your mom and dad. And then all of a sudden they decide to pick up the tab because you're their kid. So they want to take care of you. The NCAA is like, no, that's an illegal benefit. Ineligible. You know what? Bite me, NCAA. Okay? Seeing this is the start of the NCAA getting what they've had coming to them. I do think this ultimately does lead to real players being in the game, to get to your question, Christian. But my biggest thing is, like, I'm still just not in a place to where I could really justify players not getting paid in real life for the amount of money they break in. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That's not my most passionate rant, but it's pretty close. And I will always be on the side of make that bread because it ain't going to be available forever. All right. All right.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to do it. Yeah.
That is going to do it for this week's episode of the SGO Press Pass. We'll be back next Wednesday, same time, same place. If you want to listen to it, always catch us on demand or check out us on your favorite podcasting platforms. Both 10 and 11 will be up tomorrow because we had issues getting 10 up last week. sportsgamersonline.com/podcast. Join us on our Discord, sportsgamersonline.com/Discord. Message us if you want to work towards becoming a moderator there. And as always, for Jake Jacobson, you can follow him at TH3, the number 3, that is, TH3 Composer, and me at Mike Straw Media. Until next time, guys, thank you for your support. We love your faces, to quote the great Philip DeFranco, and we'll see you next time.